video, I'm going to be showing you just like how I do like my photography and stuff like that, and like kind of running through my creative process. So just gonna try to show you some like how like my brain works in some ways whenever like I see picture like a certain thing that I'd like would like to take a picture of, and like how like I kind of compose it in my head.
Run, run, my feet on the other way. Not gonna be in town when you're around. No, I won't be there in time.
All right, so now that I finished taking a few pictures outside, I'm just gonna run you through a few pictures that I've done before and just show you a bit of a before and after, just to give you an idea of like what my style typically consists of. And so on this one, I took this a while ago. I think it was during my senior year, and just kind of got a picture of a bridge. And then I usually like, I know that's not a good explanation, but like basically whenever I run through things through Photoshop, I kind of like, I don't really like try to like, I don't really go into it with many things in mind. I kind of use it as more of a way to just see what comes of the process of like editing the photo, rather than just going into it thinking what I want to get done. Unless there's like an obvious glaring issue that I could like edit out, I more use Photoshop as a way to just, you know, it's sort of like writing in a sense. Like, although I've already taken the picture, I'm like able to edit it further and just kind of like make certain colors pop, add some sharpening, define like lines better. Maybe here. So in this next one, I take a picture of some cups, and then like basically I just kind of tried to like see what colors I could pull out in the background, and just like, so usually my camera, it's pretty low end, to be honest. I got it on a budget, and it's really like whenever you first take a picture out of it, it doesn't really look that good, which can be a little bit discouraging, but it's more like I see it more as a way it gives me more to work with, as opposed to just, you know, having it immediately come out of camera looking good. It's more of a process of figuring out what looks good with the picture, what style I could go for. Like, this looks a little noir-esque, not like, you know, black and white, but just kind of like the style, and like how I added some gray in here, and then how like the reds are very vibrant in the background. But yeah, this next one I took in a hallway, and then this one I tried to work on fixing it more than actually just the picture itself. So as you can see in the before and after of this, I'm gonna basically there's a lot of ugly grain on the side. So what I try to do was darken the sides except for the middle bit, and then add extra grain throughout the whole thing to sort of mask it. So because grain can like, grain's like, I use it as, sometimes pictures look too perfect in a way, and there needs to be some imperfection for it to seem more real, if that makes sense. But yeah, as you can see, like, but yeah, there's more grain throughout the whole thing, which may make the whole thing look more like less detailed, but I'd rather be all of it less detailed than one part super detailed and some of it not. In this one, I really just try to like play with the color a bit. Nothing much to it. I thought I did a pretty decent job with it. But this one was just a bit of a portrait, really, and just messing around with it, giving it a bit of a, I don't know if you've ever seen Vampire Weekend album cover, but kind of like that sort of like flash photography-esque, like vintage look, just kind of going for that, just to play around. This one was a bit of a challenge. So I had my friend stand on the top of a roof and then take this picture of us, and I edited it. So essentially, there's this big wire dangling in front of it, and I had to like edit it out. And as you can see, there's a little bit right above the Ferrari, there's a little bit of like damage done to that just in like the editing. But besides that, if I never pointed that out, you probably wouldn't have noticed it. But I didn't really change much about it besides just making the whites brighter to try to, I don't know, just like that. I don't know, I just thought it looked good. It's kind of hard to put into words. But yeah. And this next one I kind of just did. So I was kind of trying to go for a bit of a blinding lights look, because obviously the lights are very blown out and like there's not much detail to them because it's so bright. But as you can see throughout these three versions, one of them is kind of, it's got some color to it, but it's more just kind of like blown out. And then the third one, I thought the black and white looked a little bit cooler, but I mean, it really just depends on your point of view. And then this last one is a combination. Like sometimes I'll just open up pictures, and then I was just trying to see what I could do with three of these pictures that seemingly had nothing more going on with them. So I tried to like reel them together a bit and mask out certain parts. So I connected the portrait of me and my friend Chase to that picture I took earlier, and then by having him appear as if he's in front of it, and then I had it go and connect it with the bridge because I had that go behind that little stem at the top. Not the stem, the little top of the bridge over there. But yeah, so that's basically my style-ish. I mean, I really just like go for, I don't really go for a certain look necessarily. Like obviously I do with some of them, like, but it'll just really depend on what comes out of the camera. And like I've come to learn that like sometimes no matter how bad a picture is, like you're able to save it in one way, sense or form. And like there's no such thing as like a bad picture. Like obviously there's a bad picture, but like there's a story to be told by every picture. And like the job of the editing is to kind of pull out the details that you want to show. So yeah, so without further ado, let's get started on some of these pictures I took. All right, so here we are in Photoshop, and here's the first picture. So this is the one that I like the most out of all the shots, just like, because like I said before, like sometimes when a photo comes straight out of the camera, I don't really like how it looks, because like, besides being a little bit more low end and like there being a little more imperfection in like the shot, I also have like the picture profile set to a certain way. Like, for example, I'm able to get more out of it because I don't have a filter that's automatically applied to it when I take the picture. I have it as a very bland profile, so I'm able to kind of mess with the colors more in post. And yeah, so here's the first one. This is the second one. I'm not so sure what I can really do about this. I don't know. We'll see. Third one's just a little fun. Threw my friend in there. And then this is the last one. Not too sure how I feel about it. Some of them are alright. I don't know how I really feel about it. Sometimes you'll just go out and take some pictures and like, you won't really like any, but I mean, that's life. Anyways, so I'm just going to kind of run you through my process here. So first thing I do is kind of just duplicate the layer because I want there to be kind of a backup. So in case I like make any changes, so I'm just going to say backup right here. And then I'm just labeling that for like the purpose of like teaching. But essentially, I'll just sometimes open up like there's just like random adjustments and stuff. And like for example, I'll go to brightness and contrast, just like hit auto, just see what the computer thinks looks good. Like for example, the before and after looks pretty cool. But I don't really like how harsh it is, so I'll bring down the opacity to make it a little more transparent. So that's a little bit better, because I feel like that right there is a little bit too, I don't know, too white for me, and it's too meshed in with the brightness of that side. See, levels are sort of the same thing, but it's showing you where most of the brightness and color is. Not color, but like kind of. So you're able to kind of move levels around, and like it creates clipping. So let's say I move this all the way over here. It's like this would be the top of the image. So, but yeah, so like something like this is good. For example, like if I hit auto, this is what the computer thing looks good. Which isn't bad, but it's just not what I'm going for. And then if I go to exposure, that's sort of the same thing. Curve is the same thing. I'll go back to that later. But just already something that I see that I don't really enjoy is this branch here in the corner. So I'm going to take the spot healing tool and just kind of like see what I can do about that. Sometimes it comes out right perfectly. Sometimes it doesn't. And then you can just also just like mess with it a little bit more. And if you never knew there was something there, you wouldn't have noticed it in the first place. But so just kind of you work your way through it. Like, or you can just do the whole thing at once and see what the computer does. But you usually have to run over it a few times just to get it to mesh well with the background. But yeah, so that didn't turn out too bad. Because I felt like it was a little bit distracting to the image. But anyways, going back to this, so like I said, I usually start with a low amount of like saturation and stuff, and like so the colors don't really pop yet. So I usually just bump up the saturation here and then work from what I like. Like already you can see a little bit more color right here. Kind of pops out a bit more. Vibrance, it's a little bit of a wacky thing because it kind of, it makes it obviously more vibrant, but you easily tell if someone's overdoing it, so I kind of see it a little bit tacky, but not really, just something I noticed. Anyways, yeah, so I kind of just mess around with these a bit, see where I'm going with it. Like already you can kind of, so if I were just to do this, you can already see a little bit of a before and after. Like it's already looking way better. But to go back to it, I might just throw on like a little photo filter just to like kind of, if there's any certain look I'm going for, I'd just like see what it would make it look like. Like for example, a bit of a warming filter just makes it look, honestly, like it has more reddish and yellowish tints. So I kind of like that. That's a little interesting to me. I like the way that goes. It gives me more of a, summer atmosphere as opposed to being just bright and large. But anyways, so what I'm going to do right here is add a little bit more detail with the lines and such. So this just makes it a little, you can usually tell. I'll just show. It's easier to show than tell. And then, so basically you can see that the lines look sharper here before and after. And basically, sometimes I don't like how severe it is, so then again I'll just bring down the opacity. But yeah, that's, I don't really see if there's much else for me to do in this picture. I might, sometimes I'll crop something if I don't like how it looks, or like how like the framing really works out. Like I don't know how I feel about that either. Like maybe have it more focused, just like right there. But yeah, I think that one's pretty much close to done. Yeah. So moving on to this one. So already looking at it, already is a little bright. So if we see what Photoshop wants to do with it, it might make it brighter, because sometimes I don't know, really just, it's a bit of a, like, yeah. So there's a little more detail with that. It made it a little bit darker and added more contrast to it, which is nice. But, so I'm just going to delete that and just go through it in levels. So obviously you can see there's a large gap here because there's really not much darkness and shadows in here because it's very low contrast. So if in levels I just pull that down, already got it looking a lot better. And then you see the problem if I do this, the sky gets a lot more blown out. So if I move the midtones to like over here, I feel like it gets a little bit more of a look. But because you see there's a lot more, darkness and like detail in the branches and such on the side. Like if I were to crop this to just contain the road, I feel like it'd be better, like as in, it has more of a vanishing point, but I feel like I'd be losing a lot of detail. So right now I'm not too sure what I'm gonna do with this. Just kind of work through it, like I've been saying. So this is the curves tool. It kind of like, if you want to add contrast, you do what's called an S curve, where essentially the curve makes a slight S. If you do it too severe, it's gonna look really wacky like that. Like, well, you can look like you're out of like a strange video game or like an over-edited meme. But yeah, that's not too bad. I kind of like where that's going. But also you can do certain color channels. Like for example, if I want there to be more red in the image or green, I'll just pull the green up, and then yeah, so you can see there's obviously a lot more green like being highlighted. And then if I want to add contrast in the green, like if I'm going for a certain look, I just do that. Do another S curve. Ooh. So I don't know what I think about that. I don't know if I like that yet. I think it looks a little bit interesting. I think it kind of adds a little bit more to the ominous, like, what is this road lead kind of look. But anyways, yeah. So I'm just going to go through, I feel like this video is going to take long enough already, and I'm going to just go through and kind of just speed run the editing process here and just stop whenever I make something of note or do something different. So yeah.
This year told myself it'd be a better one. Try not to fall back onto the knife.
All right, so as you can see with the before and after of these pictures, they aren't looking too bad. I personally like how they turned out because I wasn't very confident in them when they first came out of the camera, but I mean, yeah, they didn't turn out too bad. So I think that each one's a little unique in their own aspect, 3 completely different type of pictures, as opposed to just a bunch of the same, if that makes any sense. I might just be rambling at this point. This video's gone on for a little bit too long. But yeah, if you ever just like want to talk about photography or anything, just let me know. All right, well, yep, thanks for watching.